Aloha, everybody, and welcome to this episode of Faith and Family First podcast. I'm here with my co-host, Jim Hochberg, and as promised, we have our local author. Well, I guess he's local. You'll find out more when you stay tuned, but there's a book that's going to be released that you just want to get your hands on. So let's chat about that. Jim, welcome to the show.
Hey, Eva.
Are you excited?
I'm very excited.
Yeah, I am too. So let's not even waste any time doing our little back and forth. Let's just welcome our guest, Tom Clarke, to the show today. Tom, welcome to the show.
Aloha. Thank you. It's an honor and privilege to be here.
Well, I think it's an honor and a privilege for us to be talking to someone who actually wrote a book. And this book is not out yet, right? I mean, it should be out on what date?
Yeah, not only it's actually out on Kindle for pre-order, and it'll officially be released on the 18th. And also on the 18th, then you can purchase the paperback. And we've learned some few things interesting, that when you're going through Apple or your iPhone, you can't purchase it. You have to be on a laptop or computer. And if you're Android, then you can purchase it. It's kind of a war, I believe, of going between Apple and Amazon and the internet world. So I hope that's clear now, that you can pre-order right now online if you go to Amazon and then put Impacted Tom Clarke with an E on the end. That's TOMCLARKE. You will find it.
So Tom gave Jim and I an advanced copy of an authorized, unauthorized version. I
know nothing.
So yeah, I mean, so under the pain of death, we're not getting it out to anybody, but we wanted to be able to converse with you, Tom, about the book. And so you were very generous in allowing us to take a sneak peek at it ahead of time. And I mean, before we jump into the book, one of the things that really impressed me about the book is all of the artwork that's in the book was painted by you.
Yeah, correct. This is my first book. I've never written a book before. I'm actually back in history, a high school dropout. Who would ever think he would write a book? So yeah, it started with me painting and just doing devotional sayings below my paintings. And it ended up helping a young lady with cancer, wanting to try. She had the questions in life, why is this happening? Like we all do when we go through tragedies in life. And I used the wave example to her, that you never stop a wave, but you got to learn how to deal with it. And she ended up going home. She had a tear in her eye when she left. I really didn't know what went down after that. It was a heavy experience. And her mom ended up emailing me that evening and saying that the perspective for her wanting to live has just changed, and thank you. And that hit me like a tidal wave. And I just said, wow, I got to do some more paintings and put some devotionals at the bottom. Which then led to an editor finding me and putting it in a book.
I think what I really appreciate about the book, so what I want to do is I'm going to paint a little bit, since you're a painter, I want to paint a little bit of a picture first for our listeners and our viewers, that you mentioned, you're not a high school graduate, but you are a follower of Jesus Christ. You go where he tells you to go, but you're a surfer. And so the book really goes through this what it's like to be a surfer and riding the waves, and you use a lot of examples. But before we jump in, why don't you give us a little bit of a testimony of how you came to know Jesus?
Well, I grew up in a successful family. If you try to do research, you're probably not going to find it, because what I've been understanding, a lot of it has been scrubbed on the internet, but we're still trying to figure a lot of that out. But my dad invented the Slinky toys. He didn't invent the spring, but he did invent the eyes, the dog, and that was in Disney, all that good stuff. And he ended up being taken advantage of and ripped off because he just didn't know the legalities correctly. So it led our family into a big downfall, from being very popular on TV down to being on welfare. And I grew up in a home where dad and mom turned to alcohol and narcotics to take care of that pain, which basically led to losing everything. We lost everything we owned. And I was I was around 7 and 8 growing up in the midst of watching the deterioration just get worse and worse, to having police at the house and seeing, I was never physically abused, but there was a lot of physical and emotional abuse in the family. My dad held a gun to my head one time. He was actually going to shoot me, and I said, pull the trigger. And God didn't let him pull the trigger, but I was hoping at that time he would. But just a lot of family violence, and that's what led me to the bottom. And I was on the same road in a lot of similar areas of anger and trying alcohol and trying weed. But I realized, why do I want to become like my family? And I became the rebel and just started seeking something. And I didn't know what I was seeking, but it's kind of funny. I was introduced, I think, into the spiritual world by our house was so dark and so much fighting that I got to see what evil was before I knew what goodness and holiness was. And we had a room, and long story short, there was demonic activity in the home, and I got to eyewitness it. And I like to jokingly say Satan led me to the Lord because I saw the reality of, wow, there's something going on here. You know, these doors are opening at night. My mom goes flipping crazy, and it happens right at 11 o'clock at night. I mean, what in the world is going on here? And years down the road, after me fighting and trying to figure out what's going on, it just took one simple human being in my life to make an impact. And all he did was buy me lunch because we didn't have no money. We were on welfare. And it opened my heart up to start listening to him. And it led to him training my career into sign painting. I'm one of the rare sign painters that are probably still alive. And from there on, I went into a career and got to develop in my relationship with the Lord. But I was slow. I was a tough cracker. I didn't come overnight and say, oh yeah, Jesus, come into my heart. Because I grew up in a background where there was a lot of religion, but there was not a lot of heart and a lot of practicing through life, living the Christian life. It was more of a ceremonial, hey, you go to church on Sunday and you take the communion and Hail Mary and then boom, whatever. You're done. Let's party, drink, and do it all over again until next Sunday. I hope that was not too long.
No, I that's what I want is I want our viewers and listeners to see the very raw side of you, because you mention in the book, but also in prior conversations that we had, that you're a very private person, you know, that you don't really like to just come out and tell all your deep stories, but you really do peel back the layers in this book. And you do share some very heart-wrenching things that you experienced in your life. I don't want to go into any of that because I want you to be able to share your story. But the title of the book is called Impacted. And one thing that I was really impressed about in the beginning is it's something that I really love words. I've always been one of these people that, you know, words mean a lot to me. And you mentioned in the beginning of the book, the way that you worded it, that to be impacted, it can be an action, right? You can impact someone by a choice or something that you do, but you can also impact someone by not doing something. And that really just, the truth behind that really shocked me, that's truth. You can choose not to do something in your life that will have an impact. And I just love that. So, talk a little bit more about why the book is called Impacted.
Well, my healing time in life, believe it or not, was, yes, a mentor or a friend, but through life, I love the water, and water just spoke to me and healed to me. Well, we know we take a shower every day, right? We feel cleansed. After a dirty day, we take a shower and we feel clean. And I delved, my spirit and my soul was hungering for that. And it was an invite to the ocean. Well, I started off with a baby pool. I like to say this. I started with a baby pool, a little plastic pool that we all get when we're little kids. My parents bought a regular pool. I played in that, then turned it into a fishing pool. Long story. Then I went to a stream at a farm where we were near. Then from the stream, I found a river, and I found a river to a larger river, which was Susquehanna River in Maryland. And then I fell in love with boating, fell in love with the Chesapeake Bay. Then from boating, I fell in love with the ocean. And then I found myself going all over the world to discover different parts of the ocean. And voila, here I am in Hawaii, in a dream that I never thought I would experience. But the water was always speaking to me as healing. And I realized there's ups and downs in the water. And I'm playing with that up and down thing. And what is that? And in time and in my book, you see that I start explaining we have highs and lows in life, and that it comes from something. That wave comes from something, and that it's a reaction within our weather pattern of a high and a low, which I'll explain more in the book. I refer to good and evil. When they bump each other, it creates friction and a reaction, and then the reaction is sent our way. So you do something or you don't do something. That wave, when you're at the beach, that wave hits you no matter what. You never tell that wave to stop and wait for you. But you can't run from protection from that wave unless you get out of the water. That wave's going to get you. And all of a sudden I realized, well, what's a high and low in life? And my faith just started exploding with reality within that revelation. And I'm like, wait a minute, the way I surf and handle a wave is the way I need to start handling life. When I get wiped out, I need to start handling that and the difficulties where I'm at in life. When I'm on top of the wave, I need to celebrate. And just as a surfer, no, man, being on top of the wave, it's like the ultimate thing, and just cruising down. So, yeah, that's hopefully I just gave you a good taste of what the book is. But I go very deep in elements of the wave. The surfboard here, has a lot to do with being in the front and in the back, balance. I go deep with it to help you in your life understand where you're at and what to do and how to handle situations in life through a surfer's perspective. But it's real life. We all have to be surfers.
You do. And Jim, I know that you've got some things you want to talk about too. I don't mean to jump in on this.
You're doing a great job.
But I love this. Okay, so you and I talked on the phone about this. In Hawaii, we grow up around the ocean, so we're taught from a very small age to respect the water, right? You never turn your back on the ocean, right? That's what you're taught. And so my dad used to take me and my brothers all the time to this little beach called Baby Bay. And every week we'd spend there. Now, I've never surfed in my life. I have body surfed. And I have done some sand surfing, but never have I ever tried to get on a surfboard. I did skateboard though. Yes, I did. I was a skateboarder in my teenagers. But anyway, we're at Baby Bay and it was getting to be dusk. And this is kind of outgoing toward Nanakuli. And my dad stood up on I was the only one in the water and I was splashing away, having a good time. My dad stood up on the ocean and he pointed behind me. And so I turned around to see what he was pointing at, and I saw this wave, this huge rogue wave that was coming right at me. I grew up in the water. I wasn't afraid of the big wave. No. So I just kind of dived under it. What I was not prepared for was the set. So the second wave that came up behind, I got caught in the curl. And boy, you're under that water. And your book talks about this. And I love that because I could imagine, I know what that feeling like. You feel like you're going to die. You're at the total mercy of the tumbling of the waves. You're going up, you're going down, you're eating sand. There's this craziness. And then it threw me out on the shore, but the third wave came in, caught me, pulled me out and got me in. Now, this was a rogue set of waves. And I kind of was thinking about what you were talking about in the book is that in life, we have to be prepared for these things that we may not be prepared for. And the only way we can do it is to stay grounded in the Lord Jesus Christ and in our word and in our faith and in our community, because that's what's going to keep us grounded when the world goes crazy around us, and it will do. And I love that you mentioned all these professional surfers here in Hawaii that but do not tell anybody. If they want to know who you hung out with, they got to get the book. So you hear that, viewers and listeners, you want to know who he knows, buy the book. Anyway, Jim, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I know you had some questions too.
Well, yeah, I really enjoyed the book. In fact, my phone every night at 9 p.m. would ring, my alarm, because that's basically when my wife goes to sleep, so that I could remember, I got to keep reading that book for today, right? So every night for the last week or so that we've had it, my alarm would go off at 9 and I'd read another chapter or two. Anyway, one of the things that I thought was I grew up here too. So we know the waves, we know the weather for Hawaii. It's probably the same most places if they got water and weather, but the thing
partly cloudy with chance of rain.
Trade winds 20 to 25 miles an hour. Yeah. Anyway, the thought that occurred to me in reading this book is I hope whoever's marketing your book for you will bring it to all the Christian schools in places where they surf, like Hawaii and California and Florida and maybe Texas. I don't know. because it's a great book to teach life lessons to kids that surf who don't like to read about other stuff, serious stuff. This would be a fabulous devotional kind of, I don't know, fun reading book for Christian school teenagers that surf.
You make a good point, because you kind of do that, Tom, and I love that what you do is you kind of do a at the end of each chapter, may I say, deep dive, where you just you saw what I did there, just to kind of encourage a little bit more thought. So as a devotional, I do think it would be really great, but share some more of your mana'o with us, because I think that people that are listening and viewing, they're going to want to know a little bit more.
Great. Yeah. I know there's so much running through my head. I loved when you talked about when you come to Hawaii, you were taught to not turn your back on the ocean. And I remember the first time coming to the North Shore, I zipped my car right in and I couldn't wait to surf. And then I came back and I'm like, why is my car looking weirder than everybody else's? I pulled in and everybody backed up on Kamala Highway. Traffic's too bad. You can't back up. And a local goes, you learn to respect the ocean here. You don't even turn your car to the back of it. And I was like, wow, that's so cool. And from there on, always face the car towards the beach as a recognition of, it's an honor in that way. Never put your back to the ocean. And the other one that came to mind is, breath, aloha. I loved when I was introduced to Hawaii about aloha. I was just like, oh, cute, pretty word, pretty women, pretty flowers, and paradise. I never knew that was defined as the breath of life until a true Hawaiian explained that to me. And I was like, just so impacted with it that I researched it more, and you have to read my book, but I get into that. But it's fascinating, as those of you who surf, when you get hit the hardest and you're knocked down, you can't breathe, you're being tossed all over the place, you don't know what's up or down. If you're in dark waters, now you can't even see where there's surface and there's light. And I always like to say, if I would ever argue with God at the moment, I would win at the moment, saying, I'm dying and this isn't fair and this isn't right. And look where I'm at. But always with the Lord in time, he's always right. And it's the moment of when we're in our tragedy that we have to hold our breath. We don't fight what's going on, and we don't waste our energy on something that we can't control. So in surfing, that's what's happening. When you're being pushed, drilled underwater, you're going to lose when you try to battle it. But it's just a moment, and the moment passes. And every professional surfer, big wave surfer, will tell you that's when you make your first effort to blow air out, see where the bubble goes, follow the bubble. And second, you start moving your arms and using energy to surface, because the time is right to do that.
When you were
to apply,
go ahead.
To apply that to everything in life, when you go through a struggle, you will be amazed when you come out of your tragedy of how much better you feel and how much you're ready to handle and learn from whatever just happened.
Let me ask one other question, because it kind of ties into what you're saying about breath. Share what you write, I think it's in chapter 6, about Yahweh without the consonants, the breathing in and out. That really struck me. And I tried to call Waxer to ask him to explain it to me. I haven't been able to get an answer from him, so I'm hoping you can. It's complex. I don't know. I might be careful on that, but when you think about it, in life, we have to choose, right, for life, and then we got to get rid of, okay? When in the Christian foundation of life, and in anything, in economics, in health, you have to give to be able to inhale. If you inhale and just keep taking in, you will die. That's not life. God is about giving and taking in. It goes both ways. And that's what the breath is behind when you think about it. It's crazy. It's so simplistic. Nobody thinks about it.
but we give and we take. The plants, if we didn't have our ones that just love nature, the plants are giving back so we can have oxygen. Everybody, nature gives and takes. It's when somebody comes and just takes is where death occurs. And God is life. He's alive. So he can't just take. He can't just take from us, and he can't just give from us. It goes back and forth. He wants us to love him, but we also he is to love us. In a relationship with your child and your mom and dad, if one, we know that in the family, in today's world, there's so much selfishness when it gets with addiction of all about me and what I need. And it just takes from the family and it drains, and it creates a death experience in the family of friction, fighting, imbalance, breaking up, divorce. Gosh, I can go real deep on this one. I mean, I can take any top world pop story right now and bring this to real light. And I'll jump into one. I hope I'm not jumping off topic, but our big story is Israel and Hamas and such. If people do their research on that, that's from a bad divorce. It's really actually from a bad divorce, and families fighting and hate developing through generations and generations. And again, it's that give and take away too much where, if they both could come together and give and take, there would be peace there. And we have one side or the other side, whatever you want to look on your political view. We won't go in deep into that, but whoever you are, when you only take, there's death. So I hope I didn't go too far off the track of surfing. It's the code of life of up and down. And that's why I feel God's given me this vision in writing this book is there's a code of up and down. Mm-hmm. If you look at my book, I have the heart rate and vital signs going off out of the lightning. Well, the lightning is about what happened to me, the chances of, I lost a child to cancer. I've lost family. I've had a lot of tragedies in my life. That's I can't believe that happened to me. Then we get into the vital signs right there in the heart. Well, that's what we're full of sound waves. Our heart rate's up and down. Why is that? Why does our heart go up and down? It's the give and take. It's that same thing, which it's a choice, up or down. Where do you want to be? And I really believe our time in life here is about making a choice. That's why we have bad things in life and we have good things. God has given the creation to the humankind, not the animals and other creation, but to the human to have a free will to do right or wrong and experience that right and wrong and the attributes and the conditions that come along with it. So that at the end of our life, we do have a choice to say, do we want good or do we want bad? Do we want to choose God or do we want to choose ourselves as God? And it's amazing. God's built it in like, look, I'm going to let you taste both sides of the world. So I hope that all makes sense there. I went deep again.
Actually,
1,000 feet.
No, it's really, really good. And I think that our viewers and listeners, they need to hear this. They need to hear that when bad things happen, you talk about all of the signs of surfers. You go out there and you get all dinged up, man. You talk about, falling over the falls and all that stuff. All of this stuff, even though I didn't surf, I've heard about it because I have a brother that's a surfer. But you talk about going out in faith, in a sense, right? Because when you're going out into the waves for surfers, skateboarders, people that ski, whatever.
People that ride elevators.
Well, that's Jim's excitement, is riding an elevator.
But you got to have faith that the elevator is going to go where it's supposed to go.
That's true. Oh. But I'm talking about...
Yes, for sure.
I'm talking about facing, the things that, like, I went skiing once, and I remember that feeling of being on the skis, and everybody kept telling me, oh, you skateboard, so it'll be the same. It is not the same. Okay. It kind of is the same in how you balance and going. And I want to talk about balance because you bring that up in the book too. But you talk in the book about having faith, as you're going out towards that wave, your heart's pounding. You kind of know what you're going to expect. You may know the size of the waves because you've checked the weather report and you've done all these things, as you mentioned, right? But when you're actually riding that wave, you get caught. Sometimes you get hurt. But it's in that blessing, in our hurt. Nobody wants to get hurt. You're right. Nobody wants to, say, yeah, I broke my arm or broke my leg. And yet it's a badge of honor. And so for those of us that have experienced divorce, or those of us that have experienced death or whatever, it's not something that we wanted. It's something that we chose to do, but the Lord walked us through it so that we could help somebody else walk through it. And the only way some people are going to listen to what we have to say is if we've experienced it. And I kind of love that you kind of gave that picture in your book too, that going out there and facing what we have to face, there's a reason for it. And I love that you did that. So unfortunately, as always, we're running out of time, but what is your message? Like the book's got a lot of great points in there, but Tom, there's got to be something that's leaping off the page for you, something that you really want people to know. What is it?
Oh, it's a bunch of them, but I think, there's nothing that hurts more than when someone says, why did this happen to me? It's such a lost feeling. When I lost my daughter to cancer, it was why. This absolutely just doesn't make any sense, and there's no good thing about it. And, I went to the ocean many times in tears, just why? And then going through a divorce and losing my parents and such, and losing financially millions of dollars. I was doing very successful in business, and it's like, what's the freaking point of all this? Why do I even try if that's what's going to happen? And I realized I'm messing in an area that I need to be fearful of questioning God. We're not to question God, and he's to give us every answer in our life as if we're another God and he's got to be accountable to us. So I set that humility in when I did this, but still I go after some understanding. I believe if God has given us a brain cell enough to think about something, we should be able to get an answer. I know that's somewhere in the Old Testament too. It's cool. One of my friends told me that verse. You Bible scholars can dig it up, but I just wanted to dig a little bit more about it. And then I started getting it with the wave. There's a code in life of up and down. And I want people to understand that it's okay and it's normal when we suffer pain, because we're in a free world. From going back to that apple of the tree of knowledge, remember that was the tree of knowledge to know between good and evil. God said, don't eat that tree, but we as mankind did. And I know people like to blame the woman and blame the guy, and I could have a good talk on that one, but no, neutral. We all ate the apple. We wanted to know because God's given us that power. So when you understand that bad things happen because of me making bad choices, or somebody else making bad choices, you just get to start making a little understanding of the why, and it helps get through it. I love this example I use in my book is that picture a pond with glass water, and we got people all around the pond and they're enjoying the reflection in the water, but one person decides to throw a rock in the center of that pond. It only makes one impact. But by the time it goes 360 around the pond, everybody's been impacted, and there's more impacts. There's ripple, 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 ripple. And it hits innocent people that didn't throw the rock. They lost their vision. They lost their beautiful view where they were looking in the water. That's what we have in our world today, is that it's unfair. By somebody else doing something, ripping something off at the store, we have to pay for it. That cost is built in when we purchase that thing. And so when you see the high price, you got to kind of just understand, okay, we're affected by everything, and God's got this in control. There's a forgiveness that is there for us to take, and we have an incredible bright future of an inclining internal wave that will always ascend and just be amazing in life if we want it, and that's through Jesus.
And the book we are talking about today is called Impacted, and we are here with Tom Clarke as he shares about the book. If you want to get a copy of the book, check the link below and make sure you get it. We'll make those of you that want to know, send me an email, eva@hawaiifamilyforum.org, and I'll let you know how you can get the book. Tom, we really appreciate your time with us today. And we hope to have you back after the book is out and maybe see how it's impacted the community. Thank you so much.